My fiancé said, I know you paid $130,000 to save my parents' house, but we're signing it to my sister as a wedding gift. His sister added, and don't come to the wedding. I smiled and said, should I tell them or will you? His father's fork dropped. A week later, 53 missed calls. My fiancée said it like she was announcing a flower arrangement. I know you paid $130,000 to save my parents' house, Lila said, smoothing the napkin on her lap with both hands. But we're signing it to my sister as a wedding gift. Her sister Marin didn't even pretend to soften it. And don't come to the wedding, she added, eyes bright with triumph. You just ruined the vibe with your martyr thing. The dining room smelled like rosemary chicken and lemon polish. The table was set the way Lila's mother always set it when she wanted to look like a family that didn't use guilt as currency. Cloth placemats, matching plates, candles that tried too hard. I was still in my chef blacks under a blazer, because I'd come straight from service at Leclerc, the kind of restaurant where people paid more for a tasting menu than my father spent on rent in a month. I'd been on my feet 14 hours, hands raw from heat and salt and speed. And somehow, the hardest thing all day was sitting at this table, watching Lila and Marin speak about a house I'd saved like it was a raffle prize. Across from me, Lila's father, Robert, cut his chicken in careful squares, like he could slice the conversation into something manageable. He didn't look up. He didn't have to. He'd learned long ago that silence was how you let other people do the dirty work for you. Helen, Lila's mom, kept a fixed smile on her face, the kind of smile you wear to church, the kind you wear while quietly deciding you're the victim of someone else's boundaries. Lila reached for my hand, but only with her fingertips, as if touching me too firmly might look like admitting I mattered. Jay, she said softly, using the tone she reserved for calming down guests at work parties. This is going to make everyone so happy. I didn't flinch. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam my fist or stand up or knock over wine. Instead, I smiled, slow and polite, like I was greeting a food critic. Should I tell them? I asked. Or will you? Robert's fork hit the plate so hard it rang. His hand froze mid-air, and for the first time all night, he looked straight at me. Marin frowned. Tell who what? Lila's eyes widened just a fraction. Not confusion, fear. The kind of fear that says, he knows. I kept my smile exactly where it was. The truth, I said, about what you're actually asking me to give away. And that was when Robert's face went the color of dishwater. If you'd asked me a year ago how I ended up here, at a table with people who could eat my help and still complain about the seasoning, I would have given you the same stupid answer I used to give everyone. Because I love her. Lila and I met at a charity event Leclerc catered. She was in heels, hair pinned back, laughing like she didn't have a single unpaid bill in her life. I was behind the line, calling times, plating duck breast with trembling hands, because the night was a blur of heat and pressure. She found me afterward when the crowd thinned and the kitchen finally exhaled. I watched you, she said, leaning against the stainless steel counter like she belonged there. You're calm in chaos. I laughed. That's because I'm dead inside. She smiled like she thought that was a flirt. She asked for my number. I gave it. We went for late night ramen on my one day off. Then another. Then suddenly, my tiny apartment had her toothbrush in the cup like it had always been there. I knew her family was complicated. She warned me early. My parents are traditional, she said. They can be intense about family. And Marin is, well, Marin is Marin. I thought I could handle intense. I'd grown up with a mother who counted pennies and a father who counted disappointments. I'd worked my way from dishwasher to sous chef to head chef by swallowing insults and standing upright anyway. I knew how to keep my face neutral when someone tried to reduce you to what you were worth to them. So when Robert started asking little questions, how much I made, what my savings looked like, whether I owned anything, I pretended it was normal. When Helen praised me for being so responsible and so stable with that hungry look that said useful, I pretended it was gratitude. When Marin joked that it must be cute cooking for rich people while still being just kitchen staff, I pretended it didn't sting, and when Lila squeezed my knee under the table, as if her touch could erase their contempt, I let it. Then the house happened. It started with a phone call on a Tuesday afternoon, right before prep. Lila's voice was thin. Jay, my parents might lose the house. I paused, with a knife in my hand, the edge hovering over a pile of shallots. Lose it how? Theirs? Back taxes, she whispered. And something with the mortgage. I don't understand. They're saying foreclosure. I should have said, that's not my problem. I should have said, your parents are adults. I should have said, let them figure it out. Instead, I said, okay, let's see what we can do. Because Lila looked at me like I was safety. Because she cried in my kitchen, face pressed to my chest. And I felt that old reflex, the one that makes you fix things even when the thing is someone else's responsibility. We went over there that weekend. Robert sat in his recliner like a king in exile, holding a stack of papers that made him look smaller. It's temporary, he said, not meeting my eyes. The market's been weird. The business slowed. It'll bounce back. What business? I asked. He waved vaguely. Consulting. Marin, sitting on the couch with her nails perfect and her phone in her hand, muttered, Dad doesn't have to explain himself to you. Helen dabbed at dry eyes. We've never asked anyone for help, Jay. We're humiliated. That was a lie so clean it could have been plated. Because they didn't ask like people ask when they're desperate. They asked like people order. Robert cleared his throat. We heard you're doing very well. LeClaire, right? High-end place. It's work, I said carefully. And you're engaged to our daughter, Helen added. So, family. Lila sat beside me, hands clasped tight. Jay, if there's any way, I asked for the numbers. They slid the paper across the coffee table like it was a menu. Foreclosure notice. Back taxes. Fees. Penalties. The total landed at $130,000. My stomach tightened. That was more than I made in a year after taxes. More than my car. More than my entire childhood in one number. I said, do you have a plan? Robert's jaw flexed. We don't need a lecture. Marin smiled without warmth. We just need support. And Lila looked at me with wet eyes and whispered, please. I went home and stared at my bank account like it was a stranger. I had savings, years of doubles, of missed birthdays, of saying no to vacations and later to rest. Money I'd told myself was for a down payment, for a future, for breathing. I called my friend Mateo, who handled finances for half the restaurant staff, because he was that guy who read contracts for fun. Don't just hand them cash, he said immediately. If you do this, do it right. Protect yourself. So I did. I didn't write them a check like a fool. I didn't gift them money. I paid directly, tax office, lender, attorneys. Every dollar documented. And I made Robert sign an agreement acknowledging it was a loan, not a donation, secured by a lien on the property until repaid. Robert didn't like it. I don't need a leash, he snapped. It's not a leash, I said calm. It's paper. It keeps everything clear. Helen pressed her lips together. You don't trust us? Marin rolled her eyes. Wow, so romantic. Lila squeezed my hand. It's fine, she murmured. It's just formal. We'll pay it back, babe. It'll be okay. I signed. Robert signed. Helen signed as co-owner. Everything notarized. And the moment the foreclosure threat was gone, their gratitude lasted exactly 3 days. After that, it became expectation. Robert started calling Lila with little emergencies, new roof quote, plumbing issue, HOA fine. Can Jay spot us until next month? Can Jay just handle it? Jay has a good job. Lila would bring it up like it was normal. It's not that much, she'd say, leaning into me after service, when I was too tired to argue. They're still recovering. I paid twice, 3 times, 4. Each time I told myself it was temporary. Each time I told myself marriage meant sharing burdens. But burdens weren't what they handed me. They handed me entitlement wrapped in family language. Then came the wedding planning. Lila wanted everything tasteful, elegant, not gaudy, she said, meaning expensive but quiet about it. Venue, catering, not mine because she didn't want me working at our own wedding. Dress, photographer, flowers that cost more than my first month's rent. I paid for most of it because she cried about wanting her dream day, and because I loved her, and because I was already halfway in the trap. And Marin? Marin treated the wedding like a stage where she was the lead. She criticized Lila's choices, then corrected them. She mocked my suit ideas. She made jokes about chef money, like it wasn't real money because it came from my hands. Then, a month before the wedding, Leela told me her parents wanted to have a family dinner, something special. I came straight from LeClaire, still smelling like smoke and citrus and adrenaline. I expected gratitude, maybe even a toast. Instead, I got that line, "We're signing it to my sister as a wedding gift." The house. The one I saved. The one I had paperwork on. And they said it like it was settled. For a long moment after my question, should I tell them or will you? The only sound was the candle wick crackling. Marin blinked. Tell who what? Lila swallowed. Jay, don't. Robert's hands shook slightly as he reached for his water. Helen laughed too brightly. Oh my God. Jay, what are you talking about? I leaned back in my chair like a man watching a slow boil. You're asking me to sign away my lien, I said, because you can't transfer that house cleanly while my name is on the paperwork. Marin's mouth twisted. Lien? Lila's eyes darted to her mother. Mom, Helen's smile hardened. Jay, we don't know what you mean. This is family. We're just moving things around. Robert's voice came out rough. You put a lien on my house? It's not your house, I said, still calm. Not entirely, not until the loan is repaid. Marin scoffed. That is insane. Lila, tell him that's insane. Lila's voice trembled. Jay, you didn't say it like that. I did, I replied. You just didn't listen because you were relieved the crisis was over. Robert pushed his chair back an inch, anger rising. You think you can hold my home hostage? I looked at him. Really looked. A man who'd spent a year calling me son only when he needed something. I didn't hold anything hostage, I said. I saved it. You were days from foreclosure. Helen's eyes went glassy. We would have figured something out. You didn't, I said. I did. Marin leaned forward, voice sharp. So you did it for power. Great. Congratulations. You got what you wanted. I laughed once, quiet, almost polite. No, I said. I did it because your sister begged me and I loved her. I did it because I believed we were building a life. I did it because I thought helping your parents would mean they'd treat me like family instead of a walking wallet. Lila whispered. Jay. I raised a hand. Not aggressive, just a stop sign. Here's what you're trying to do, I continued. You want me to sign away my legal protection so you can give the house to Marin as a wedding gift, which means my $130,000 becomes a donation, which means you never pay it back, which means you get to call me selfish when I ask about it. Helen's lips pressed tight. You're making this ugly. It's already ugly, I said. Robert slammed his hand on the table hard enough to rattle the silverware. You're not ruining my family over paperwork. Marin stood, chair scraping loud. You're not coming to the wedding, period. You'll embarrass Lila. Lila's face crumpled. Marin, stop. But Marin wasn't done. You think you're so important because you cook expensive food, she snapped at me. You're still just a chef. You don't get to control us. I stood slowly, not because I wanted to loom, because I wanted them to see I wasn't small. I'm the head chef of an elite restaurant, I said evenly. I run a brigade of 12. I manage vendors, budgets, schedules, disasters. I plate perfection under pressure. And the most delusional thing I've heard all year is you calling me just anything. Robert pointed at me like I was a stranger who'd walked into his home uninvited. If you loved Lila, you'd do this. I turned to Lila. Her eyes were wet. Her hands were clenched. And underneath the tears, I saw something I hadn't wanted to see for months. Calculation. She wasn't shocked by her family. She was worried about losing the plan. Lila, I said softly, did you know they couldn't transfer the house while the lien exists? Her silence was answer enough. Marin smirked like she'd won. See? She's loyal. Unlike you. I nodded once. Okay. Lila stepped toward me, voice pleading. Jay, we can talk about it later. Privately. Please don't do this here. But the here was the point. They'd chosen here because they thought public pressure would make me fold. I looked at Robert and Helen, then back at Lila. I'm going to be very clear, I said. I'm not signing away anything. The house doesn't go to Marin, not unless my loan is repaid in full. Robert's face twisted with rage. We don't have that kind of money. Then you don't have a wedding gift, I said. Helen's voice rose, finally cracking. After everything we've done for you, I almost smiled again. Almost. What have you done for me? I asked quietly. Name one thing. 1. Silence. Marin lifted her chin. You're choosing money over family. No, I said. I'm choosing reality over manipulation. Then I picked up my blazer from the chair and turned toward the door. Lila rushed after me. Jay, please, don't leave like this. I stopped, hand on the doorknob. You already left, I said, not turning around. You just didn't pack your things. And I walked out. The next morning, I did what chefs do when the night before was chaos. I went into work and moved like muscle memory. I trimmed, I tasted, I corrected, I plated. And in the quiet moments between tickets, I called Mateo. It happened, I said. Let me guess, he replied. They tried to turn your loan into a gift. I exhaled. Yeah, okay, he said. Then we do what we planned. We sent one email. One. Calm, professional. Attached copies of the agreement, the lien filing, the payment receipts, the terms. No threats, no insults, just facts. The subject line was simple. Loan, terms, and property lien. Confirmation. And then I blocked Marin's number. Lila didn't call that day. She texted. Please don't do this. My family is upset. We can fix it. I stared at the screen until it blurred. Then I replied, fixing it means respecting what you asked me to carry. If you want the house gifted, repay the loan. If you want a marriage, stop letting me be your family's ATM. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. For 3 days, silence. On the 4th day, Robert called. I didn't answer. On the 5th day, Helen called. I didn't answer. On the 6th day, Lila showed up at Leclerc, not in the dining room, in the back, in the alley where deliveries came, where the air smelled like onions and rain and garbage. She looked small without her family's walls behind her. Jay, she whispered. They're saying you're blackmailing them. I'm enforcing an agreement, I said. Her eyes flashed. They're my parents, and I saved their house, I replied. She stepped closer. Marin she needs it. She's struggling. I laughed, sharp. Struggling how? With her manicure schedule? Leela flinched. Don't be cruel. Cruel? I repeated. Cruel is taking $130,000 from someone and telling him not to come to his own wedding. Her voice shook. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Jay, please, she said, tears spilling. If you love me, I cut her off gently. Don't use love as a crowbar. Her face crumpled. What do you want? I held her gaze. I want you to say it out loud, I said. That what they tried to do was wrong. That you knew. That you let it happen. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her eyes darted away. And in that moment, I understood. Lila didn't want truth. She wanted peace at any price, as long as I paid it. I nodded slowly. Okay. She panicked. Okay, what? Okay. I said, voice flat. Then we're done. Her breath hitched. Jay, no our wedding. There's no wedding, I said. There's a transaction your family expected me to complete. She sobbed. You can't do this to me. I looked at her, and I felt something settle in my chest, like a knife finally put down. I'm not doing anything to you, I said. I'm stopping what you did to me. She left, shaking. That night, I went home, opened my laptop, and did what I should have done months ago. I canceled vendors in my name, refunded what I could, and sent one final message to Lila. This isn't revenge. It's boundaries. I'm not your family's savings account. The loan remains. The lien remains. If your parents want the house free and clear, they can repay it or refinance. I wish you well. Don't contact me again, unless it's through the attorney. Then I blocked her too. A week passed. and then my phone exploded. 53 missed calls. Robert, Helen, unknown numbers. Lila from a new line. Even Marin, somehow. Voicemails stacked like dirty plates. Robert's voice, furious. You can't do this. You'll ruin us. Helen crying. We're going to lose everything. Marin snarling. You petty little... And then Lila, thin and desperate. Jay, please. They're saying the bank won't... I didn't know it would be like this. Please call me. I listened to them all once, then deleted them. Not because I didn't care, because caring had been my leash. 2 months later, I ran into Robert at a coffee shop near the courthouse. He looked older, smaller, the kind of man who'd spent his life believing he could outweigh consequences. He saw me and stiffened, pride warring with panic. Jay, he said, like my name tasted bad. I nodded. Robert. He swallowed. We're working on refinancing. Good, I said. His eyes narrowed. You enjoyed this? I almost smiled. Almost. No, I said. I survived it. He leaned closer, voice low. Lila's devastated. I looked at him steadily. Leela chose her family's comfort over my dignity. He scoffed. You think you're some hero. I think, I replied, that you taught your daughters that love is something you extract from people. And I finally stopped being extractable. His jaw clenched. Then his voice broke, just slightly. We're going to lose the house if we can't. That's not my emergency anymore, I said calmly. And I walked out with my coffee like my hands weren't shaking. That night, after service, I stood alone in LeClaire's kitchen while the last dishwasher hummed. Stainless steel reflected my tired face. My own eyes, my own life. I thought about the house, about the money, about the moment Lila didn't deny it, didn't defend me, just tried to manage me. Then my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a woman named Tessa. You don't know me. I'm Marin's ex-roommate. I saw what they tried to do to you. I just wanted to say thank you for not folding. People like them only change when they hit a wall. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I set the phone down and exhaled. Because walls weren't cruel. Walls were honest. And for the first time in a long time, honesty felt like relief. I wasn't anyone's wedding gift. I wasn't anyone's bailout. I wasn't the quiet chef in the back they could take from because I didn't shout. I was Jay. And I finally learned that family isn't the people who call you selfish when you stop paying. It's the people who don't demand payment in the first place. If they wanted the house, they could earn it the way I earned everything else, by facing heat, doing the work, and paying the bill. And this time, the bill was theirs.